It's your boy Crypto Blood. What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of My Two Satoshis. It's kind of a double spin, but it's My Two Satoshis because I'm gonna be talking about it. I got a clip from CNBC. They're talking about they're comparing the stock market with Bitcoin. Bitcoin in specifically Bitcoin performance over the past 3 years. Don't know why they picked 3 years, just to make it look like it possibly would be a comparison. Even that didn't even compare. It's just funny how they try to spin stuff. They basically tried to show 3 years, a year, and then no, 3 years, 2 years, and a year, I believe, or a month. I can't remember, but they tried to spin it off like if you bought it in the last 2 months or a month or something, you would be down 60% versus being up 4% in the equities. Ridiculous. I don't even know why this is a conversation, but I wanted to do this just to show you guys how MSM spins things, and you can't trust their information. It's just pure disinformation, in my opinion. So I'm gonna play this clip, but before we do that, I want to give a shout outs to V Massive for the song request. I like that joint right there. Shout outs to V Massive, man. Thanks for the song request. And again, if you guys ever have song requests, I got a queue of them lined up now, so I'll just kind of be working through them. But if you got a song you want to hear while I ramble on during my videos, let me know. Let's go ahead and take a look at the market cap, though. We're right above $500 billion, $512 billion in market cap for the entire cryptocurrency arena. Bitcoin's dominance is at 35%. And as I predicted, guys, I told you guys that we would see a pump fake. When we were rallying back up, everyone was all happy and stuff, and I told you this is, and the reason why is not that I'm like some oracle. I know how, I can predict the future in markets. It's just that I've been trading for so long. It's only so many scenarios that will play out, and normally when you think it's going up and it's over, it normally isn't, especially when you have a 50-60% correction. It takes time for the markets to figure everything out and get on the same page to move back up. So usually those moves, if you have a hard move down, you can actually take a Fibonacci extension retracement line, and you'll see from when you have hard drops like we did from 20,000, it'll usually drop down and then it'll extend back up maybe about 60% or 50% of the length from its highs, 40 to 50%. It just depends. So I kind of knew that's probably what we would have, and that's exactly what happened. So let's take a look at that chart really quickly. Crypto Blood chart. So as you see, I said I don't think we're going to this is not a, I didn't think we were going to go and score a point up here at the 15,000. I thought we would fall short, and we did. So we fell short, and we bounced off this green line. I had this green line here because again, I think that's a fib extension. I'm not gonna go all the way back there for the sake of time because I have this video to play for you guys, but I believe that's a fib extension, and that's why I had that green line drawn there. If guys, we break below, and this is from Bitstamp on the 1 hour chart, if we break below 10,000, I'm just gonna say 10,000, let's just say 10,000. We break below 10,000, then we are going well lower to the 85 range, which was my initial call at the highs when we had our first pullback from here. Once I saw we were really pulling back, I said we would hit 8,500, and if we break that 10,000 range, ladies and gents, it is going lower. So if you have dry powder, it's a good idea to buy the dips and not buy at the highs. But at any rate, we're gonna take a look at this video. It's hilarious, but again, it's just, I want to always report on these types of things to just get the dialogue going and help you guys understand. This is why you don't want to listen to CNBC. They don't know anything, man. Like, they barely were getting things right in their paradigm in the stock market. So why the hell would we listen to what they have to say about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? I actually feel like Bitcoin versus stock market is not a great comparison. I know they're doing it on performance. It's still not a great comparison because we clearly know Bitcoin outperformed the stock market by leaps and bounds. It's not even a competition. But I think we should be more so comparing the stock market to the tokenization of a lot of these startups and ICOs, and having an index. We need to actually build an index of tokens and their performance, basket those up, and then compare them to possibly the stock market going forward. That would be a more apples to apples comparison to me, if you want to look at it like that. But at any rate, let's take a look at this video. Enjoy, and make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. If you do subscribe, click that bell. That makes sure you are alerted for every video that Crypto Blood uploads. And that's pretty much it, people. Check it out. Holla.
So there's not a lot of market history for Bitcoin. I mean, we know that. It's only been around for about 8 or 9 years at this point, ballparking. But we wanted to take a look at just how much investor returns have been juiced if you were in Bitcoin. So we looked short, medium, longer term, and there's a chart of Bitcoin, at least on the Bitstamp prices. So we know that it was sub $100 at one point. It got all the way to near $20,000 at one point, and now we're back down to where we are, about 10,500. If you got in, say, 3 years ago, all right, back then in mid-January of 2015, Bitcoin was around $250 a token, 3 years. So even with the market moves that we've seen to the downside over the last couple of weeks, you still have a $10,000 investment at that time worth $460,000-ish as of yesterday. It's a little bit less today because of the price move. Over the last year, you're still doing pretty good. It's still worth about $125,000. But if you look at it just over a month, from the highs to now, that $10,000 has lost around 40% of its value. So that $10,000 is now worth $6,000. So that gives you a little bit of a short-term, medium-term, longer-term time frame on returns.
So it's not the growth of $10,000. This is the return on $10,000.
Well, no, that's
you've
how
lost
much.
$4,000, right?
Well, $10,000 invested initially is now worth those dollar amounts that we put up. We put up there.
Okay.
We want to then contrast it to the stock market. Not because we think that they're comparable in terms of investment or risk or anything else, but because other people choose the stock market as a way to invest in anything. Over 3 years, if you bought the S&P 500 SPDR ETF, undividend adjusted, just price appreciation, that $10,000 is worth $13,700. That's pretty good.
But that's compared to $450,000.
But it is. But still, I mean, we're in a mode in the stock market where a 30% return is a good thing, right? I mean, that's what we know. Over the last year, you're still up $12,200. That's what it's grown to. And if you invested just at the high of Bitcoin over the last month, your S&P 500 return would still be positive as opposed to the minus 40% in Bitcoin right now, 10,400. The reason why we want to show those is because we just want to put like the context behind the moves that we've seen. It also calls into question whether or not, if you've held Bitcoin for a long, long time, whether or not you're still in it. Because if you watched at the highs, that $10,000 at one point was worth around $750,000 at the highs and is now down to $460,000. How much pain would you have suffered as a Bitcoin holder or investor before you would have hit the sell button? That's going to be a big question for a lot of investors.
I need to raise my hand.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
I wish you would always do this.
You want me to always?
Because I wouldn't call on you most of the time. I wouldn't.
who would you call? There's not a lot
I wouldn't
of people
call on you
because
I know what it would be about. It would be about, you know.
That suggests that you think you're the teacher. Interesting.
Oh, I do.
So
yeah,
separate.
I just have a very poor pupil.
Ooh, okay. Separate issue. Do you think that people are buying this stuff on margin or taking out loans or doing? I mean, I'm trying to understand whether there's forced selling going on.
Well, anecdotally, we have heard stories about it, right?
Right.
The headlines about I've mortgaged my house to buy Bitcoin.
Right.
That family in the Netherlands that sold everything they owned to live in a trailer and bought Bitcoin.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of anecdotal
There's a
stories
handful of the, but when I look at this sort of massive selling that's clearly gone on, I'm trying to understand what's driving that beyond just the psychology of it. Is there actual economic pressure on some of these owners?
So, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. Here's what I would say. I'm not sure how many lenders out there, whether you're a traditional brokerage or a bank or otherwise.
I don't think anyone wants to lend against this specifically.
Correct, right.
So the question is whether people are using, but I guess what
are they taking HELOCs, home equity loans, to go and buy Bitcoin?
Or doing other weird things that we're not really thinking through here?
There may be some people out there, but you don't feel as though this is a prevalent thing, right? I mean, Bitcoin hasn't grown enough in size where people are tapping the home equity, which is trillions of dollars in the U.S., right? In terms of the total value of real estate to do it. That may not mean that it won't happen at some point, but right now, yes, there's probably forced selling, but maybe not as much because of traditional margin calls.
Dom, you can always be our teacher.